what are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
From coast to coast and spanning centuries, empires have risen and fallen, but the art form that is food has lasted the test of time. But with every new delicacy, the prices seem to go higher and higher. Let's check out 10 foods that only rich people can afford. Not your regular chicken.
Oh, well, I'm not like other guys.
The ayam shamani, also known as black chicken, is a rare Indonesian breed of chicken that's known for its signature black coloring. But not just its feathers. A rare and extreme version of a genetic mutation called fibromelanosis is the scientific term used to explain how black chickens are pitch black, from their beak to their toes, and even their meat and bones. Selling anywhere from $300 to even $2,500 US for a single chicken, this bird is considered a delicacy. But it's not just the intense black color of this bird that makes it so renowned or expensive.
Interesting.
In certain Asian countries, the black chicken is sought after for its supposed mystical powers. Due to their appearance, some believed that the black chicken was a medium between the human and spirit worlds. Before they were eaten as a high society favorite, black chickens were sacrificed to appease divine beings and used in religious ceremonies. Even now, some believe that eating the mystical meat may grant you some kind of magical powers. Money may not buy happiness, but turns out it can buy perceived superpowers. Wagyu doing for dinner.
Or is it Wagyu again for breakfast, Raymond?
The famous Wagyu beef, translated directly, means Japanese cow. But with such a hefty price tag, a shocking $200 US per pound, surely it can't be that easy to claim just any Japanese cow's meat as Wagyu. Well, you would be right. To qualify as Wagyu, the cows have to undergo genetic testing to prove they're purebred from Japanese cows. 23andMe for cows? Then the cows are raised and fed in very controlled conditions to produce the special fat marbling effect that makes the meat so tender and buttery that it requires its own style of cooking to reach its full flavor.
Like she's so special.
But if Wagyu isn't quite fancy enough to satisfy your palate, try the even more expensive subset of the meat, Kobe. Named after the Hyogo province's capital city, Kobe beef is from the Tajimagyu breed of cattle and follows even stricter breeding rules than regular Wagyu beef. If you want the best meat money can buy, then go for the Wagyu. Tea for the spirit.
See you in an hour, Zach.
What?
Going for a minimum of $300 US a glass, ayahuasca has to be just about the most expensive cup of tea in the world. But that's not all. Ayahuasca plays a very important role in the culture and religion of many of the indigenous tribes of South America. Inducing a hallucinogenic effect, the use of ayahuasca in healing practices and trips to the spirit world has spanned centuries. But now foreigners want in on all the fun, too. The commercialization of the ancient ayahuasca ceremony began when more and more foreigners heard about its magical healing properties.
Magic. Real magic.
Now, people from all over the world travel to Peru and pay a hefty price tag to experience relief from whatever is plaguing them, like mental health disorders, addiction, or even grief. So when you think about it, $300 isn't a bad price for a new outlook on life, right? But beware, because it takes a practiced and trained shaman to perform such a ceremony correctly. Why? Because they believe brujos, witches, can use ayahuasca to steal someone's energy for themselves. Now that sounds like some bad mojo. A spiky treat.
Concentrate. Concentrate.
I want Wagyu!
Have you ever had a food so high class that your chef had to go through 3 additional years of training just to prepare it? If you're in Japan and have the money and are okay with the possible risk of poisoning, go try some Japanese pufferfish, or fugu as they call it. Fugu is harmless, unless you try to eat it. In that case, the liver, intestines, and skin are highly poisonous and cause death in around 60% of people who ingest it, making it the most poisonous fish in the the sea. Watch out, Ariel. Once upon a time, fugu liver was a very popular dish in Japanese restaurants, before they knew it was the most poisonous part of the fish, of course.
Ooh, sorry.
But the serving of fugu liver in restaurants has been illegal in the country since 1984. Nowadays, any chef in Japan who wants to serve fugu is trained meticulously for 3 years in the method of removing the poisonous internal organs and skin, saving the meat, and making it safe to consume. Even so, a whopping 44 fugu poisoning incidents have been recorded in Japan in the last 20 years. Paying 100 smackaroos to possibly get poisoned? No thanks. Vanilla domination.
Wait, are you Vanilla Ice?
After years of eating vanilla-flavored cakes, cupcakes, and cookies, and complaining that they weren't chocolate, you may be surprised to learn that vanilla is one of the most expensive foods in the world. While vanilla extract, or even the vanilla beans you buy at your local grocery, are made from real pods, they don't exactly leave a hole in your pocket, do they? That's because the most expensive vanilla in the world comes from Madagascar and Indonesia, 2 countries that make up 2/3 of the global vanilla market. The more you know about how vanilla is grown, the more its price tag makes sense. The flowers that grow vanilla beans only last for a single day, so the vanilla beans have to be picked as soon as they're ready.
Quickly! Quickly!
Even after the vanilla pods are picked, we're not done yet. It takes 4 to 6 months for the fresh beans to be properly dried and ready for sale. Not only that, but the only bee that can pollinate vanilla, the Melipona bee, is indigenous only to Central America. So any vanilla field outside of Central America has to replicate the pollination process using a wooden needle. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a lot of work. As growing and cultivating vanilla is strenuous and labor-intensive work, vanilla is even more valuable than silver by about $25 a pound. An un-foie-gettable food.
I'm brushing my teeth with caviar and foie gras.
When you think of food only rich people eat, one of the most popular things that can come to mind is foie gras. As it involves the force feeding of ducks or geese, New York decided to ban the storing, production, and selling of foie gras within state limits. Though $40 to $80 per pound may not seem like much after hearing about the other entries on this list, it's still quite a lot of money to pay for what is essentially a chunk of fat. Foie gras may have a French name, but before the French claimed it, the making of foie gras was a common practice in ancient Egypt.
It's a long story.
But it was when the Spartan king visited Egypt that foie gras became the delicacy it is today. The Romans perfected the Egyptians' foie gras by force-feeding their geese figs, making their foie gras both richer and sweeter than the Egyptian version. From there, everyone in Roman high society enjoyed the delicacy, and soon word traveled to other countries. When you can afford foie gras, you can afford to eat like an emperor, and who wouldn't want to be able to say that? I knew you were truffle when you walked in.
I hope you're enjoying truffle season.
The rare Italian white truffle, tasty, sure, but fungi all the same, goes for an average of $1,600 per pound. Now, we can already hear you saying it. You've had truffles before. Perhaps you've had truffle fries and spent 3 months trying to find the perfect truffle oil. Well, we're sorry to burst your bubble, but real truffles are still a food only the bougie among us can enjoy. Contrary to what the name may imply, truffle oil actually doesn't contain truffles. Once upon a time, truffle oil was high-quality olive oil infused with truffles.
That was long ago.
But scientific discoveries in chemistry got rid of all of that. The garlicky, musky sort of scent one might associate with truffles is due to a single chemical component that is whipped up and added to regular oil. This tricks the senses into tasting the truffle flavor even when there isn't any. Sneaky, sneaky. So while truffle fries are fantastic and truffle oil may make you feel like you got tons of dough, most of us would probably have to choose paying our rent and bills over a white truffle. I wanna be a Melon-aire.
Holy watermelon!
Most of us have probably eaten watermelon at least once, but did you know that there's such a thing as black watermelon? Well, it pretty much looks like an odd-shaped bowling ball. Though the typical watermelon has that distinct green rind that immediately reminds us of a sunny summer day, black watermelon isn't quite as accessible to those without an enormous income. The rare Denske watermelon, or black watermelon, is actually more than just rare. The world only produces fewer than 100 of them a year, making the price range from $250 US to a whopping $6,000 each.
Too expensive!
Seen as the black watermelon will only grow in the soil of Hokkaido, Japan, and trust me, many have tried to change this, there's no way to increase the yearly supply of the fruit. But its black rind isn't the only thing that makes this black watermelon different from the ones us non-billionaires buy. Black watermelon is distinctly sweeter, redder, and crunchier than regular watermelon, with only a few seeds scattered throughout. Some people even give the precious black watermelon to friends or family as a gift on very special occasions, such as a wedding or baby shower. The food of Greek gods.
What is this in here? Saffron?
And now for the most expensive spice in the world, saffron. Though the country most associated with using this spice may be Spain, saffron was originally grown and cultivated in ancient Greece. From the first day it was found, saffron has always been a rare and precious spice, but not just for food. Spreading across the Mediterranean and Egypt, Cleopatra used a quarter cup of saffron in her famous baths, and it was valued for its medicinal and perfume properties. Greek deities are depicted in ancient stories as watching over the cultivation of saffron.
Elixir of the gods.
There are epic tales telling of Greek sailors that traveled the world to find the most valuable saffron, and it was used in many magical potions. But if you've ever passed by a saffron flower, you may not have even realized you passed by such an expensive spice. Looking at the signature purple flower, you'll realize why saffron is as costly as it is. Each flower only contains 3 or 4 strands of the signature red strands we know as the actual spice. Saffron lets the rich bathe like Cleopatra and eat like the divine Greeks of yore. The songbird almost eaten to extinction.
Stop! You don't have to eat it!
What is ortolan, you might ask? Well, it's a Eurasian songbird that has made waves as one of the most high-class and highly expensive meals in French cuisine. When the birds set off to migrate to Africa, they'd be caught by the French and kept in a dark cage, where the ortolan's instinct was to eat and eat and eat, and the French happily gave them more and more and even more food. After the bird had stuffed itself with seed and grain, it was dropped into a barrel of Armagnac. Not only did the bird die, but it was simultaneously marinated.
Huh? Nice.
As the ortolan is a beautiful bird, eating it was seen as a sin. The French often wore a cloth draped over their heads while eating ortolan in order to hide such a sin from a higher power. It was such a rite of passage in French high society, actually, that the ortolan's French population dropped drastically, and France even outlawed eating the bird. In the south of France, ortolans are still illegally caught and sold for around $200 for a single bird that's small enough to fit in one hand. So not only is the ortolan an expensive dish, eating it can also land you in jail. Get a taste of more great videos. Just tap or click. And hey, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell.